Hello, welcome to F.A.C.E with Fam
and Space.
Jump on in, F.A.C.E cadets, as we get down and dirty. Damn it, why do I keep wanting to say that?
Because it's part of the intro, darling.
So you can face your fears. We can make a safe place for you, my dear. So you can face your fears.
We're gonna be masculine some episodes, feminine some episodes, and some
neither.
episodes you won't even be able to tell what we are, darling.
Exactly, you gotta kiss us and find out.
All right, F.A.C.E cadets, let's get on into our upbringing. Do you remember a specific memory that you enjoyed?
That's a great question. There's a lot of shit I have to sift through to get there. Anytime that we spent like a holiday together as a family.
Yes.
The holidays were always really stressful for our parents, but for us kids, like, we just would hang out.
On vacation.
Hang out in the basement
Yeah.
and play acting games because we were all theater kid children.
That was awesome, honestly. Like, those are my happy memories, are with my cousins.
Yeah. Not really mine, though. Mostly just with you guys. My two oldest siblings that were really close to me and stuck around. I loved them and hanging out with them, and I wanted their attention and their approval.
Yes, darling.
Yeah. Yes.
Bring it in close to your heart.
Oh, cold. Hold it close, but all at once. Cold. But like the Grinch. With Jim Carrey up in this piece. We're awkward and silly, and
we were I was homeschooled. She was raised around homeschoolers.
Yeah, that's all I know.
It's just a recipe for a big jumbled bundle of what is it?
Of cringe.
Yeah.
Would you like some?
Would you like some cringe? Crispy.
But yes, I enjoyed what I enjoyed about my childhood was my older siblings, and anytime I got to be with them and they enjoyed my company. Because it wasn't always that way. We did not always like each other all the time.
Yeah, we did not.
It's hard growing up in a house of so many people because everyone is always stepping on each other's toes or using something you need to use, or it's just always a mess. You always get angry and tangled up in it. And it's really hard to remember that you're like an actual unit. You're a family and that you care about each other. I definitely remember that.
Yeah, just not really knowing how to communicate and work through feelings, regulate feelings, and taking it out on one another was something that we did a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that has to do with being stuck inside a house where we didn't really see a lot of other kids for the longest time. I didn't go into public school until I was 13, and before that I was constantly taking out my feelings on my siblings and not knowing that that wasn't the right thing to do because I wasn't shown properly how to deal with my big emotions as a kid. And I feel really bad about that.
Yeah.
Because I know I would kind of, siblings, I tortured her. I stuck her in the basement and I pretended to be a demon to scare her.
Right. Yes. The demon times of the... Because they were in gymnastics, you see. They could bend backwards, and it was kind of a whole show, if you think about it.
Yeah, I would bend over backwards to scare them. That was...
You gotta laugh about it or you'll cry. Anyway.
At least we're better now.
That's the thing, is that your siblings, when you're kids, you don't know how to interact with each other. You don't know how to regulate your emotions. And you know what? I didn't have any younger siblings, but I was the older kid in a neighborhood full of younger kids. And they looked to me, and I traumatized a couple of kids in my neighborhood. Not in in the sense that you're not always very nice to each other when you like care about a person.
Yeah, I was never shown that. I was never shown like, hey, this is your sibling, you need to love and care about them. And it was just constantly like, oh, stop fighting with your brother, stop fighting with your sister. Like, do I need to separate you two? Like,
right.
It was never like, let me sit down and talk this through with both of you and help you communicate to one another. And that's what I think you should do if you're a parent. Definitely talk to your kids about how to handle a situation.
Something that I definitely noticed about our parents specifically is just how they would favor the younger kid over the older one, based on whatever they said, like if the younger kid is like, oh, David's being mean to me, then obviously the parent is going to jump in and be like, oh, be nice to your little sibling or whatever. And that's not always fair. Like, you do have to actually listen to the older one, like, see what actually happened.
Yeah, because the little one might be a little shit.
Might be a little liar. Might be trying to get your attention because they feel sad and they just want some attention. But also, it's not okay to just go around lying all the time.
Yeah, and you got to get to the bottom of it. You got to listen to your kids. I know that you're tired, and I know that you just want to be like, oh, you guys, like, this is childish. Like, shut up. You can't do that.
I feel like what our parents really could have done is just like get down and been like, and like, how did that make you feel? Like, do you feel like your little sibling isn't listening to you?
Right. And then talk to the other one like, okay, well, did you hear that? Maybe if we apologize to each other, we could get to a better place, or,
right.
Because you love each other, like.
Because you're family.
Yeah.
But, it was not really, we just didn't have that back then. No. It just wasn't the way it was. Got like a titty cramp?
I got a titty cramp. The milk duct.
The milk duct.
It's clogged.
It's clogged, darling.
But I noticed, I don't know if I'm going to air this, but I feel like Mom didn't like me very much growing up. I don't know what it was, but she always harshly with everything. Like when I did something wrong, I got like something more brutal than
your younger siblings.
I feel like my younger siblings and my older siblings.
Really?
When I was a certain age, like when I want to say from the time I can remember, around Charlie's age, 7, to being a teenager, my mom was like distant with me, like always kind of pushing me away. Whenever I would like reach out to her, I would like try to give her a hug, and she just wouldn't want to be touched, because 7 years old, that's kind of the time where you start doing a lot more for yourself. I'm starting to realize that with Charlie. Like, I'm like, okay, you can brush your own teeth. Like, okay, you can get yourself a glass of water, and showing him how to do things himself. And with Mom, I think that she just was like very overwhelmed, and
she had a lot of kids, which is understandable, but also it's not really fair to just sort of be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna not ever teach you those things then. Yeah. Bye.
Yeah, and honestly, that's probably why Lauren distanced herself, because I say that I noticed her treating me a little bit harsher, but I think, yeah, it probably was like most of the older kids that she just treated.
That's what I noticed. I mean, just growing up is that, like, when I wanted something, when my sibling was being too mean to me, I was like on it. I was always like, Mom. Like, I just remember doing that because
so much, because Mom would be like, oh,
because it was the only way. And it's like, it's so annoying for the older siblings, and I totally respect that and get that, because I experienced that later in my life. But at the time, when I was just like a sad kid who just like didn't have siblings, it just felt like no one really cared about me. So when my mom would care about me, I like was so holding on to that, and I would like force everyone. Little. Yeah, so that was like the one way to get my like needs met, was to just be like, Mom, fix it. Mom, fix it. They're being mean.
I think what mostly gives me that feeling of like I was treated a little bit differently than everyone else is because of my size. Could easily manipulate me, like because of our height difference
and size difference.
Yeah,
she was just a bigger lady back then as well.
So I was easily intimidated by her, and so a lot of the time her control tactics would work on me because I'd get intimidated
physically.
Yeah, physically, and I would back down, and so.
That's really messed up, actually, because you do not need to be intimidating your child physically to the point where they don't feel physically safe around you. That is not okay, ever.
Yeah.
In any way, sense, you know.
I think it's important to refresh your children on everything that you are teaching them each year, because otherwise they would probably forget.
Yeah. I know I have. I mean, I graduated high school and that shit was gone. I can't remember a thing.
High school is just traumatizing. Like what I was saying, how you shouldn't spank your children because it'll put them in a state of fight or flight where they'll either shut down and become unverbal, or they will try to be the perfect child, not to step on your toes.
And they won't remember. They'll dissociate.
Yeah. They'll dissociate, and they're creating a version of themselves that isn't present. So a lot of my childhood, I don't remember. Same thing with high school. A lot of high school, I don't remember because you're in a state of fight or flight because you're trying to survive and get through high school.
I remember high school, Bethany was going through it.
I was going through like so much.
You were just pushing everybody away, at least at home. I think maybe you really clung to your friends.
Yeah, it was hard though. I didn't reach out to my friends for a few months after my huge breakup that I had with my high school sweetheart. We were together for 5 years.
Candid event.
Yeah, it was very much like that is what the first thing that broke me, because he was my best friend, and he just like said bye, like adios, out of nowhere for me, and I pushed everyone away.
Because that was the first like boy you ever loved.
It was the first person that I felt understood me, that I could go to for anything. That was my safe person, and I hadn't created that with my friendships yet. But shortly, like after isolating myself, I realized I can't understand what people are saying, because that's how depressed I got. I couldn't keep myself present enough to hear what people were telling me because of how much I had dissociated and kept to myself in my room. So I had to fix that, and I did.
Yeah. Well, that got me. That got me too.
Because, yeah, that's what happens when you let depression take you and you isolate yourself. You don't reach out, because it's your responsibility to get help.
It is.
I know that you are depressed and that you have a disorder, but if you don't make those steps to get help, you're just contributing to your mental health diminishing, and you won't be able to be present anymore.
Yeah. I think that as messed up as it is, because when you're in that state, when you just don't want to get up anymore, and like you don't want to go outside, and you don't like enjoy the things that like they used to bring you so much happiness, and like now you try to like do something that you enjoy, and it's just like it just falls flat, and you're like, I don't even know what to do with myself right now. Like I'm not the person that I used to be. Like that whole state, when you're in that state and people are trying to tell you like this is how you get out of it. And like
it's a choice. It's not a choice. It's a battle.
It's a uphill fight against the fucking current, against the grain.
And you are better for it, for digging your way out than letting yourself just lay there and decay.
And I know that that's the instinct, and you don't even feel like taking care of yourself. But even like little things like that, even little things like taking care of yourself or doing something that makes you like feel a little accomplished, that's gonna do you so much good, and you're gonna feel so much better after you do it.
It's so true.
And that's what I've realized with depression is like, at some point you do just kind of realize, oh, this is something that is like an ongoing thing that I have to deal with, and that sucks so bad. And when you're so young and you're dealing with that, it's so hard to be like, you just don't even know what's going on with you. You think you're broken. You think something's wrong with you.
Yeah. Because
it seems like none of your friends are going through this.
And for me, I didn't really explain to my friends what I was going through.
Me neither.
Because I dissociated and didn't reach out for months. And then I tried to get back into friendships like nothing happened, and I'm still Beth, and I'm still like that happy person. But I was very much still struggling. And it would show in like how many times I would hit my friends up. And I remember getting blamed for not hitting up certain friends.
Certain friends. Certain, maybe not anymore friends.
Yeah.
But I remember like my childhood experience with depression just being like, man, I don't know why I can't do the things everybody else can do. Because when you're in that state, you're like, you can't get done the things that you need to get done. Like there's a certain part of depression where like when you're in that state and you just don't really know like what's going on, you're like, I can't do anything right. That made school so hard. That made like getting grades done so hard, and then teachers are so hard on you for that.
Yeah.
They're like, you're the problem. You're a problem child. There's nothing right about you, like we need to put you in the back of the class because you obviously can't get your shit done. And that makes you feel like shit. That does not help with depression, teachers.
No.
Okay?
Like many children are going through intense situations at home that are causing them to fall short in school, and they're not going to reach out to the counselors. A lot of the times they're going to put on a mask at school, and you probably wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
They might be the class clown. They might be that person that's constantly drawing on their schoolwork. But there's like, you can tell when a child is coping and maybe reach out instead of giving them all these consequences.
The sort of like quick shutdown. It was always so like, you're gonna get nowhere in life is like the message that I got.
One teacher actually said that to you.
Well, it was more of, he just straight up came up to me and like started insulting me, and like
he's like, you're gonna work at McDonald's.
He did. There were a couple teachers, I can't even remember. There was like a handful of teachers that said like, you're gonna end up flipping burgers and you're not gonna be happy with your life and everything. And
joke's on you.
Joke's on you, I'm a clown. There was this, I'm not gonna name the name of the teacher, but this is like a small, short little story.
This asshole,
get a load of him.
Who doesn't know how to talk to children.
Which, if you're a teacher, oh my God, you gotta have a little more empathy than that.
And patience.
Like,
don't be a teacher then, bitch.
This makes you mad. It makes me mad too, because I was going through a really rough time back then. I think at that point in my life, someone very close to me had just passed away.
Like her uncle, who was her best friend.
He was like my first safe adult that I ever had in my life. Died. when I was 13, and that was really rough. And then the boy that I was really into at the time, and like we got together for like a very short
He used her.
amount of time, he was awful too. But
And then he ran away.
But there was this sort of like culmination of all of that. I was not doing hot in school. My grades were so bad. I felt like trash all the time. Just going to school was like, I just was so numb. Like, I would just wake up and I would go to school and I'd be like, okay, well, we're gonna be a really funny friend for my friends, and then when I go home, I'm gonna cry myself to sleep. And so I was in that state. But when things got bad, I would really turn to art. And so I would start drawing all over my sketchbook, or I would draw all over my arms. I was always getting in trouble for how much I would draw all over my arms. But this was a day where I just couldn't get myself to sit down and do the work, especially. I mean, the rest of the time I wasn't really a piece of cake student either. But this specific day, I think it was like a day or two after my uncle's memorial, I had come to school and I was drawing all over my sketchbook. Teacher comes over, takes my sketchbook. I go, okay, well, then I'm just gonna, you can't take away my skin, so I'm gonna draw on my skin.
On myself.
So right after that, I took my friend's markers and I went to the back of the class and just started drawing everywhere, all over myself. Because I just needed it. Like, it was just the one thing that was making me feel like
Better. And you were coping, you were grieving.
I was in my zone of like, I wish and I need so badly to be alone and in my own space right now, but I'm here. I'm at school, so I have to do something that's gonna keep me from like... So I, I have my friend's markers at the back of the class, and the teacher comes over, and he just starts tearing into me. And he's like, you're an awful student. You never do any work in my class. I remember him saying, specifically, you draw like a child, which I was. I was a child. I was 13. So thanks for that. I have been, like, commissioned many times at this point in my 20s, like, so thanks.
You fucking wanka. Like, what kind of an insult? You draw like a child and then continue to insult you about where you're going in life because you're drawing on your arms, and this teacher, adult, talking down to a 13-year-old isn't even approaching with curiosity of like, hey, how's it going? Like, what can I do to help you get through your schoolwork? Do you need any help with it?
Yeah. That's the unfortunate thing. Like, very soon after all of that stuff, I started having panic attacks and everything. And I was really trying my best to just not have a panic attack. I hated having panic attacks. It would always ruin my day. And so I remember calling Mom after that had just happened, and I was like,
come get me.
You gotta hear about this, because this was not okay.
This bitch.
I've experienced a trauma, Mother. Can you please come assist me?
Take me away from this hideous man.
Take me away from this hellhole. I would not like to continue to be here any longer than I have to be. Yeah, that was one of the times when I just felt extremely alienated from the rest of my class. I was called out. I had like failing grades almost my entire like school career, pretty much. I had like almost D's and F's consistently, maybe with like an A or two in like choir and art, but that was it. And that's not academics. Those are your electives, which is not gonna
bring home the good grades.
No, it's not gonna make your mother happy.
It's not gonna put you into college.
It's not gonna put you into college or anything like that. You're gonna stay home and you're gonna draw more, and that's all you're gonna do.
Which isn't terrible, especially if you get commission.
Yeah, I mean, I need to open a bank account so that I can actually start doing more of those.
Them. Email them.
Email. I'm all right with she, her at the moment.
Right.
But every now and again, for your non-binary friends,
Yeah.
you should ask.
I was thinking about it, and I feel my gender fluidness is mostly they, them, and she, her.
Yeah, it's my
And-
experience as well.
Yeah. I often don't feel like I have a gender.
Yes, I also feel that way. I feel like instead of like identifying as both, I don't really identify as either the majority of the time.
And then sometimes I do, though, feel more masculine than I do feminine. So,
It's rare that I feel more masculine than feminine. I usually either feel like neither, or I do feel like femme. I wouldn't say like I really ever feel like a woman. Like
Yeah.
I am woman, I am
I
lady,
am mentally a lady.
I am a girl. Like I don't really enjoy that. I don't feel that at all. But I do very much feel like I'm neither. It's sometimes I feel like both, but most of the time I feel like I'm neither.
Yeah.
I'm just, gender is not real to me a lot of
I
the
feel
time.
that way. I love makeup and presenting myself pretty, but I don't really feel like a woman. I'm
Your wait staff.
I'm a server.
Yeah, your wait staff.
I'm a server.
Serving.
Cause I know how to serve,
Yeah.
but I don't introduce myself as like these are my pronouns.
Right.
So I often am just she, her to
Because that's
customers,
what people
which is fine.
see.
Because at this point in my life, I didn't get to grow up knowing that it was okay to be anything else other than like strictly she, because my parents were super religious.
Right.
And I got caught being gay once, and I was like, it was drilled into my head, that's not okay. Man and woman are the only two that can be together because they're they're the ones that have babies. So my mom told me I couldn't like girls.
But that's what I feel like a lot of people don't understand, is that there is a difference between your scientific biological sex and your gender identity, because they're two different things.
Yeah.
And they can match or they can mismatch, because gender is a spectrum.
Absolutely.
Identity,
Yeah.
it's expression. It's how you feel in your body. And we all didn't get to choose what we came out of the womb with, you know? Like, that wasn't like a pick and choose, like, character customization. You know, I'm sure we all would have came out fucking different if that was the case.
Like
but
if
it
we
wasn't.
could have chose, they would have chosen that at the beginning. But I think that's it. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for watching.
Thanks for tuning in.
You're gonna come back later. You're gonna come back next week or
gonna-
bi-weekly.
You're gonna miss this.
You're gonna miss this ass.
Miss this.